Welcome to The Explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled you're tuning in today because, well, we need to talk about an incredibly urgent, high-stakes challenge happening in enterprise technology right now, and that is building a resilient, enterprise-grade AI risk intelligence platform. As we navigate the incredible, but let's be honest, kind of chaotic complexities of 2026, the gap between our AI ambitions and our actual AI readiness has turned into a massive chasm. It's a fascinating problem, and today we're going to bridge that gap together.
Okay, let's dive into this with a number that should make literally every tech leader and board member sit up straight. 35 million euros. That is the maximum potential penalty, or 7% of a company's global annual turnover, under the newly enforced EU AI Act if you fail to properly govern your AI systems. We aren't talking about some theoretical, far-off future scenario here. This is the true, shocking cost of failing to govern AI right now.
And the clock is ticking, loudly. Let's just walk through this timeline really quickly. The EU AI Act was passed back in August 2024. By February 2025, prohibited AI practices were outright banned. In August 2025, the General Purpose AI, or Foundation Model rules, became active. And staring us right in the face is the August 2, 2026 deadline for full high-risk AI enforcement. That's a rapidly approaching legal reality, and it applies to any system affecting users in the EU market, completely regardless of where your company is actually headquartered.
So how do we prepare before that deadline hits? Well, consider this your architectural blueprint. We're going to cover 1. The 2026 AI risk deadline. 2. How frameworks form your foundation. 3. A 3-layer monitoring architecture. 4. Taming agentic AI risks. 5. AI bombs and explainable AI. And finally, 6. Deploying your risk platform.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the 2026 AI risk deadline.
Just look at the reality of the 2026 AI landscape. The average enterprise right now is running an astonishing 66 different generative AI applications. 66. At the exact same time, a staggering 91% of models experience silent performance drift over time. The uncomfortable truth here is that our technical maturity has completely outpaced our governance maturity. With massive model drift and shadow AI just sprawling across networks, robust governance isn't just a compliance checkbox anymore. No way. It is absolutely the make-or-break factor for your business's success.
Which brings us to Section 2, Frameworks Form Your Foundation.
You simply can't build a platform without a solid foundation. In this landscape, there's a big 3 when it comes to frameworks. First up is the NIST AI Risk Management Framework. It's voluntary, sure, but it gives you incredibly detailed dynamic risk guidance, especially with its massive Gen AI profile. Then you have ISO 4200. That provides a globally recognized, certifiable structure with a clear third-party audit trail. And finally, there's the EU AI Act, which is the legally binding overlay that brings those massive penalties we talked about earlier. They serve entirely different but highly complementary purposes in your risk stack. And this brilliantly illustrates the whole point. Mature organizations don't pick one, they layer them. The most successful enterprises out there don't run these as separate, siloed programs. Instead, they integrate NIST's dynamic risk handling, ISO certifiable management system, and the EU AI Act's strict regulatory boundaries into one unified, seamless operating model.
All right, let's move to Section 3, the 3-layer monitoring architecture.
Now, what's really interesting here is how you bring this all together conceptually. A truly integrated risk management platform relies heavily on a cloud-based architecture. It seamlessly combines external intelligence, things like third-party APIs, dark web intel, ESG data, with your own internal proprietary data sources. All of this feeds directly into a unified data processing and workflow engine, creating risk scorecards and continuous reporting. It's all about bringing everything into one centralized nervous system.
And to make sure that nervous system is reliable, production AI requires 3 distinct monitoring layers. Layer 1 is data monitoring. This is where you're constantly validating input quality, checking schemas, and scanning for things like PII leakage. Layer 2 is model monitoring. Here, you're tracking accuracy, explainability metrics, and that 91% drift rate we mentioned, just to catch any silent degradation. Finally, Layer 3 is system monitoring, where you're watching infrastructure health, latency, and security anomalies. You really need all 3 to catch different classes of failure and maintain continuous assurance.
Let's shift gears to Section 4, Taming Agentic AI Risks.
This is where the structural threat to our blueprint gets a bit wild. The real danger becomes crystal clear when we contrast these 2 concepts. Traditional AI simply generates content. It's largely deterministic. But agentic AI? Oh boy. It actually executes actions. It is non-deterministic and highly autonomous. Traditional static IT governance completely fails here because these systems actively adapt, they reason, they call external APIs, and they independently execute code as they work.
Without strict execution governance and zero-trust principles, it turns out AI agents can easily become automated privilege escalation mechanisms. We're looking at systemic vulnerabilities, like multi-agent coordination cascades. That's where one agent's mistake triggers others to amplify the damage. We see continuous permission failures, an alarming lack of human-in-the-loop checkpoints for critical actions, and opaque observability, where risk managers can't even interpret what the agent just did.
Let's look at how we secure that in Section 5. AI BAMs, and explainable AI.
Here's a simple truth. You cannot secure or govern what you cannot see. Enter the AI Bill of Materials, or AI BOM. By definition, it's a standardized, continuously updated record identifying the specific components of an AI system to track provenance and lineage. Think of it as an essential, dynamic fingerprint of your entire AI stack. It is absolutely necessary to quickly verify your supply chain integrity and actually achieve compliance.
Let's see how this builds far beyond a traditional software bill of materials. An AI BOM incorporates model metadata, detailed dataset information capturing lineage and licensing, the exact training pipelines used for validation, and the runtime artifacts. By capturing the crucial data and training pipelines that actually dictate the AI's behavior, and not just the code libraries, you can instantly locate vulnerabilities when a foundation model gets compromised. It's the whole shebang.
Now, when it comes to proving how those models make decisions, we turn to explainable AI. Evaluating this requires a 5-dimensional framework that beautifully balances the immense predictability of complex models like neural networks with the strict explainability demanded by regulators like the CFPB, particularly in high-stakes fields like credit risk.
I'll briefly outline these 5 dimensions for you. You measure inherent interpretability, global explanations of feature importance, local explanations for individual decisions, consistency across similar cases, and the overall complexity. By systematically testing against these dimensions using industry-standard tools, organizations can confidently justify the use of highly advanced neural networks, mathematically proving to auditors that they aren't just biased black boxes. All right, bringing it all home with Section 6, deploying your risk platform.
A successful deployment means that every single model you put into production must produce a transparent enterprise safety score. And that score must be relentlessly measured across these 4 pillars of AI safety: regulatory compliance, cybersecurity against threats like prompt injection, quantifiable ethical bias, and data privacy risks. You have to monitor all 4 dimensions continuously, without fail.
So here's your actionable checklist to stop being reactive and start automating governance at scale. It starts by assessing your current state and inventorying your AI. From there, you must prioritize the high-risk systems subject to upcoming regulations. That requires building cross-functional teams that bridge data science and legal, allowing you to seamlessly implement continuous governance platforms and ultimately create automated feedback loops.
Ultimately, we kind of need to reframe how we look at this whole space. AI governance isn't a constraint on innovation. It is the foundation that makes sustainable innovation possible. Governance is not the brakes that slow your enterprise down. Think of it as the guardrails that allow your teams to drive much faster and much safer into the future.
Which leaves us with one final and honestly pretty urgent question for you to reflect on today. Will your governance actually keep pace with your AI ambitions before the August 2026 deadline? The clock is ticking, and as we've seen, those penalties are very real. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this architectural blueprint helps you build a more secure, compliant future. Catch you next time.